Okay, so yeah, today we're going to start to read a book together. As it's actually poems together called "The Leaves Grants" by Walt Whitman. So let me read the introduction again. Okay, so come, said my soul, such worship for my body. Let us write, for we are one. Then should I after return, or long, long since in other spheres, there to some group mates chance resuming, telling earth's soil, trees, winds, tumultuous waves, ever with pleased smile I may keep on, and ever, in the verses owning, as the first I hear now, signing for soul and body, into them my name, said to them, my name, Lord Whitman. Now, what do you think he's saying here?
I think he may be revealing maybe his incentive behind his writing of poems, and almost what I don't know, maybe what motivates him to do so, and what his desire is to express himself, even his.
It's actually a very spiritual poem. If I understand it right, he's talking about he tried to make a record while on earthly life, gathers all the moments now here on earth as as memory or recollection reserved for heavenly life or spiritual everlasting life. Then he can recourse back to say, okay, here's where the thoughts I return to, where life, where life brought me about. So look at that. Therefore, he said, emphasizing the composition or constitution of his being, my soul, my body, then speaking that should I after return means this body or soul seems to pass away, and other spiritual man, right, returned. So, and then he said in other spheres, that is a beautiful word speaking about basically a heavenly life, I guess. Making sense to you? Not confined by the earthly realm. And said there are some group mates a chance resuming. So there's other poems or other soulmates, whatever have you. The continue the fellowship or conversation, making sense to you? So the telling, that it means reflecting or remembering the former life that is on earth. Am I right? So we're talking about the details of earth. Soil, trees, wind, tumultuous waves, the beauty of the earth, basically. And then he said, well, that's a pleasant, so it was a smile. And he keep on, But yet the verse is owning means the expression started is now, here to now, this collection basically, which is signed with his name. So speaking about in the future, his poem is going to be recalled and discussing the beautiful earthly life. So that's beautiful expression, right? So seems to be a very spiritual man as well. So book one, inscriptions. We're going to have Noah read the first one.
Oneself I sing. Oneself I sing, a simple separate person, yet utter the word democratic, the word en masse.
What the word en masse means?
I actually do not know.
That is a lot of people, basically. So.
Okay.
That's the English word, basically, I think. Oh, French word, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Interesting. A physiology from top to toe I sing. Not physiognomy alone, nor brain alone, is worthy for the muse, I say. The form complete is worthier far. The female equally with the male I sing. Of life immense and passion, pulse and power. Cheerful, for freest action, formed under the laws divine. The modern man I sing.
What are you saying here?
I feel like it's actually distinctly connected with the poem we just read, actually.
Yes.
So he's in this one, because I've read some of his later poems after this particular one, he is going to be going in a lot of his, I don't think the right word is musings particularly, but his reflections upon the human soul and the human form. And this is almost an introduction as to how he will approach that.
That's right. So, and I understand where it came from. Whitman, I think, is before, around the Civil War time. The historical background would be...
Oh, okay.
And that's my point. Before actually modern age, we call it modern, started. Because the modern time started in America with Europeans. Introduction for the modern time actually started after industrial revolution.
Yeah.
This is actually prior to that, or in the middle of it, right? So, but the philosophy that time already developed. This is the time actually before we was talking about the French Revolution. So those ideas begin to formulate in European thoughts, imported America. One the idea is the how to understand what man relation to existence, right? So it's a philosophical thinking. They call it modern man. In describing, it's not a medieval man. It's not a man that is unenlightened. So this is a time enlightenment began to further along, come to a point of further fruition, making sense to you?
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. So the idea of here also talking about the physiologies, those have to do with a certain art form called sculpture. You know, sculpture, they sculpt men, women, they study the beauty of how man is made.
Yep.
So any women's man is perfectly well made, and his physical there is a certain beauty, and there is a certain vitality of life. I don't know his philosophy of life. Seems that it is, but his thought to bring to greater context is that a simple separate self as an individualism thinking, right? So in a sense, then said under the word democratic. So he's speaking about now. Here the word democratic is not political; it's about a public, right? So democratic means public, okay? So for the public. So the word in mass is just everybody's idea, the universal utterance, making sense to you. So speaking the value of a man. So an idealistic man, that is of life immense, in passion, in pulse, in power. So, and cheerful, for free action formed under the laws divine. Speaking is a perfect man. So, but the modern man he called, so, idealistic man. Go ahead. Sorry. Making sense to you? My understanding means not standing. You can study out the comments. Okay. So yeah, evidently has a very, I think you mentioned this before, very interesting approach of manhood. You know. So yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Would you like me to read this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
As I pondered in silence.
Well, first let me reflect with you. This is a casual, don't have before recording things. This is our own, enjoyment in the sense. Is this a format, reading, discussing is okay for you? Because I don't know anything about these poems. Not the poets very well. So.
I also don't know
Okay.
really much more than you do.
No, I'm talking about you. Do you enjoy it? Are you okay with this process?
What we're doing right now? Of course. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to impose on a certain way, so you can expound yourself, whatever. So
yeah,
be free. Okay. So yeah. Go ahead.
As I pondered in silence, returning upon my poems, considering, lingering long, a phantom arose before me with distrustful aspect, terrible in beauty, age, and power. the genius of poets of old lands, as to me directing like flame its eyes, with finger pointing to many immortal songs, and menacing voice, what singest thou? It said, knowest thou not there is but one theme for ever-enduring bards? And that is the theme of war, the fortune of battles, the making of perfect soldiers. Be it so, then I answered, I too haughty shade also sing war, and a longer and greater one than any, waged in my book, with varying fortune, with flight, advance, and retreat, victory deferred and wavering, yet methinks certain, or as good as certain, at the last, the field, the world, for life and death, for the body and for the eternal soul. Lo, I too am come, chanting the chant of battles. I above all promote brave soldiers.
Let me read this again for my benefit. So, as I pondered in silence, returning upon my poems, considering, lingering long, a phantom arose before me with distrustful aspect, terrible in beauty, age, the power. To genius supposed of all lands, as to me, directing like a flame its eyes, with a finger pointing to many immortal sounds and menacing voice. What sayest thou? He said. Knowest thou not there is but one theme for ever enduring bars? That is the theme war, the fortune battles, the making a perfect soldier. Be it so, then answered, I too, haunted shade, also sing war, and the longer greater one than any, waged in my book, with a wearing fortune, with a flight, the once and retreat, victory deterred the wavering, yet methinks certain, as good as certain, at the last filled the world. For life and death, for the body, and for the internal soul. Lo, I too am come, chanting the chant of battles. I above all promote brave soldiers. Okay, comment.
Seems like he, just to look at practically exactly what occurred in this poem, I think he was describing almost a confrontation or experience with this idea of the genius of, I think in this case, poets that may have affected his own sense of not just style, but in
Value.
And his basically a phantom, quote unquote, of it's really hard to explain almost.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Struggle with it.
Yeah.
Now let me tell you how I appreciate that you may be able to add more comments to this. Now I had to understand this author. I'm not know very much. We need to read something about his life. But I envision his life was before and around the Civil War. So war was a big theme, especially you imagine this was read, if it's written in the Civil War time, then evidently the contrast the author life with ease, able to write poems rather than fighting on the battlefield, or seeing praying to the brave soldier on the fighting front, right? So would be a great pressure for him. So also, he's not concentrating on the theme, however. He said, I want to write something more meaningful and enduring. Think about life, the value itself. It's an internal value, right? So So now he envisioned this conflict eternalized in this poem as a figure. When the presentation of the figure is talking the fathom, shade. I believe those words actually borrowed from Hamlet, the Shakespeare experience shade. Shakespeare in his poems always talking about the shadow of death, basically. Okay, so we can send to you. So now fathom is exactly the word used as the father Hamlet showed up as a fathom, right? It's like so basically a taunting soul, a taunting voice. So this fathom here speaking about the European or English tradition has been poems, oftentimes, especially in wartime, is proper to praise what? Praise bravery and praise the soldier who is brave the battleground, right? So so that is proper theme to write about if you're a poet. And so the author said no, he answers this challenge, this challenge. He said, well, I also writing a kind of bravery, but the bravery is about the ones who fighting in the battlefield of human soul, right? So, and I'm praising a certain kind of soldier who braved the human struggles to attain onto the victory for, I guess, a spiritual value or internal value. That's what I was thinking about it. So he was, the title speaks well is as he pondering in silence, speaking of a personal reflection time. So, well, I'm not sure I'm good at commenting on this. I don't know much about this.
So, I think that's pretty accurate. I was having very similar thoughts myself. I was having trouble.
Hard time to explain. It's beautiful, This poet is very. I right now really appreciate it because I didn't read his poem before.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it, So
yeah, there's certainly not poems you can just glance over. You have to
really understand it. Yeah.
He not even just with the meanings of the poems, but he almost writes it in such a difficult way that it like forces you to think about it really
to comprehend
hard.
The context.
In order to even trying to figure out what his sentence is saying, you have to think about what he's trying to express.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Very condensed and succinct as well. So.
Oh, I really like this next one.
Okay, go ahead.
This one's good. If I remember it correctly. In cabin ships at sea. In cabin ships at sea, the boundless blue on every side expanding, with whistling winds and music of the waves, the large imperious waves, or some lone bark buoyed on the dense marine, or joyous full of faith spreading white sails, she cleaves the other mid the sparkle and the foam of day.
What's the other?
I think it's like a
pleasant smell, colorful volatile liquid. Okay, it's a certain kind of liquid. I understand now.
Oh yeah. In the foam of day, or under many a star at night, by sailors young and old, happily will I, a reminiscence of the land, be read.
Happily I, what that word means? It's a lot of words. Okay, basically coincidentally.
In full report at last.
Rapport. Yeah, means a good relationship with. So.
Here are our thoughts, voyagers' thoughts. Here not the land, firm land alone appears, may then by them be said. The sky o'erarches here, we feel the undulating deck beneath our feet. That's like
diluting. Okay.
Yeah. We feel the long pulsation, ebb and flow of endless motion, the tones of unseen mystery, the vague and vast suggestions of the briny world. I don't know what that word means either. Salty water.
Salty water
Yeah.
of the sea. Yeah.
The liquid flowing syllables, the perfume, the faint creaking of the cordage, the melancholy rhythm, the boundless vista in the horizon, far and dim, are all here, and this is ocean's poem. Then falter not, O book, fulfill your destiny. You are not a reminiscence of the land alone. You too, as a lone bark cleaving the other, purposed I know not whither, yet ever full of faith. Consort to every ship that sails, sail you. Bear forth to them folded my love. Dear mariners, for you I folded, here in every leaf. Speed on, my book. Spread your white sails, my little bark, athwart the imperious waves. Chant on, sail on, bear o'er the boundless blue, from me to every sea. This song for mariners and all their ships.
Okay, I want to read this one again, so we can appreciate and incorporate this. I'm going to read it,
Yeah.
then comment it. Okay, so go ahead.
Oh, you want me to read again?
Mhm.
Okay. In cabin ships at sea, the boundless blue on every side expanding, with whistling winds and music of the waves, the large imperious waves, where some lone bark, buoyed on the dense marine, where joy is full of faith, spreading white sails, she cleaves the ether mid the sparkle and the foam of day, or under many a star at night. By sailors young and old, haply will I, a reminiscence of the land, be read in full rapport at last. Here are our thoughts, voyagers' thoughts. Here not the land, firm land alone appears, may then by them be said. The sky o'erarches here, we feel the undulating deck beneath our feet. We feel the long pulsation, ebb and flow of endless motion, the tones of unseen mystery, the vague and vast suggestions of the briny world, the liquid flowing syllables, the perfume, the faint creaking of the cordage, the melancholy rhythm, the boundless vista and the horizon far and dim are all here, and this is the ocean's poem. Then falter not, O book, fulfill your destiny. You are not a reminiscence of the land alone. You too, as a lone bark cleaving the other, purposed I know not whither, yet ever full of faith. Consort to every ship that sails, sail you. Bear forth to them folded my love, dear mariners, for you I fold it here in every leaf. Speed on, my book, spread your white sails, my little bark, athwart the imperious waves. Chant on, sail on, bear over the boundless blue, from me to every sea. This song for mariners and all their ships.
Wow, that's a hard one to apprehend. I hope I can understand. Let me read it, okay? So, in cabin ships and the sea, the boundless blue on every side expanding, with the whistling winds and music of the waves, the large imperious waves, or some long bark buoyed on the dense marine, were joyous, full of faith, spreading wide sails, she cleaves the ether mid the sparkle and the foam of day, or under many a star night, by sailors young and old, happily will I, a reminiscence of the land, be read, in full rampart and last. Here are our thoughts, voyagers' thoughts. Here now the land, the firm land alone appears. May then by them be said, the sky overarches here. We feel the undulating deck. Beneath our feet we feel the long pulsation, ebb and flow of endless motion, the tunes of unseen mystery, the weak and advanced suggestions of the brainy world, the liquid flowing syllables, the perfume, the fan creaking the cordage, the melancholy rhyme, the boundless vista and the horizon far and dim are all here, and this is the ocean's poem. Then fill the nount or book, fulfill your destiny. You not reminisce the land alone, you too, as a long bark cleaving the ether, purposed I know not whither, yet ever fall of faith. Consort to every ship that is sail you, bear force to them, folded in my love. Dear mariners, for you I folded here in every leaf. Speed on, my book. Spread your wide sails, my little bark, athwart the imperious waves. Chat on, sail on, bear over the boundless blue, from me to every sea. It's a song for mariners and all their ships. Okay, good one to comment. You said you like it. There must be for some reason.
Well, I think it's almost there's a profundity behind this poem that's kind of hard to grasp. That's why I liked it.
Okay.
I don't even
explain the profundity.
I don't know. It feels like there can be a lot of different interpretations.
Yours?
Oh,
your versions. You can have your interpretation yourself. So
yeah. There's something distinct that the mariners and their ships signify more than just, and even the ocean itself, that signifies something much more than
a mere ocean.
Yeah, the life on the ocean.
Don't feel challenged, freely or express your thoughts.
Oh, I'm
yeah. Sometimes our mind don't work like that. So okay, so
yeah.
I encourage you formulate your thoughts and freely express it. Don't feel you'll be criticized. This discussions.
Yeah. I think there's something very interesting too about his distinction between the land and the sea, and what exactly that might signify. Like especially.
What then might signify then?
Well, he refers to as like either himself or his book as, or what he says in the poem as his book, as a reminiscence of the land. Let's see, reminiscence is basically a story told about a past event remembered by the narrator. So it's like a memory told in like the format or style of like a story almost. Just basically a memory, I think.
The book is about memory?
No, he mentioned several times the saying reminiscence of the land.
He said not reminiscence of the land.
Right. So with his book, he mentioned. He says, "Then falter not, O book, fulfill your destiny. You're not a reminiscence of the land alone."
Alone, yes.
He says it somewhere else about himself as well. But anyways.
Yeah. No pressure. Just try to see where you were talking about, what you were mentioning. So go ahead. Yeah, poem is it's take a lot of brain and had a lot of background knowledge in a sense,
Exactly,
yeah,
yeah.
to grasp the true essence of a poem. So
Exactly right.
yeah. So you want to hear my thoughts?
Yeah.
If you finished. You
Yeah,
finished,
I
yeah?
really don't have much to say about it,
Okay.
honestly.
That's very interesting. Now it's the key. The key to understanding the poem is in the title again. So it cabin the shapes and sea. The thing about the cabin shape, what it means is somebody is as a voyager is living, or a mariner is living in this cabin ship, right? Making sense to you?
Mhm.
So then is life is confined by the stationing of the ship, whether sail or parking around the harbor. Am I in the harbor? Am I so? Here, evidently, the sailor, in this case, he's as a traveler, voyager, and he considers himself as a mariner in a sense. You know, just together, you travel, you see those companions, am I right? So so he saw, he went through a journey. So he was in a cabin quarter in the ship, a long voyage. Finally, they landed, and it might not be able to attain the land. He had to stay in the cabin. And says, "Man, he can travel. He can go anywhere." This is where his poems are written. He's basically confined to the outside world. But he said, "You know what? I have a book. I think the book is more than his book. Talking about his poems and his writings." He said, "Oh, now is the time for you, imaginary, to take on a sail. Now it's for you to travel, not bound by this land. Rather, for you to set on voyage. You too can bring, the bark, in a sense, basically, to, those days, they begin to have steamboat. So this evidently is a steamboat. The steamboat use the word bark, basically, a steamboat, like make a steam sound, am I, like a steam train would do, am I? So that's what you're talking about. So I hope I'm making sense to you. So now, then he said basically, my now time for you, a book set on your own voyage, basically. So for your thoughts or the poetic thinking begin to take a flight, right? So making sense to you. So I think it's worth. So man is not bound by where he is, in a sense, but in his poems, in his creation, or maybe in his reading, this way we know the book might represent different things. I'm most inclined to think it's about his writings, right? So yeah. It's a free, basically. So making sense to you. So later the latter part said, "Chat on, sail on, bear the boundless blue from me to every sea." Speaking about basically he becomes the whole crew, the whole shape for this. It's interesting, huh? It's song for mariners, all the ships. They consider every life, every human mind is a ship, and
Right.
So yeah. Well, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think the sea is the world, basically.
The sea is the world. Okay.
So in that sense, like you were saying,
It's fun. I'm hearing you.
yeah, I'll collect my thoughts a little bit.
Yeah. It's good. It's good to be challenged. So. Yeah. So, what other thing you appreciate this poem about, besides the profound meaning? So.
Well, in a more a stylistic perspective, I really like his description of the feeling of sailing itself, especially in this middle of the second paragraph.
Second paragraph,
where it ends with it saying, "And this
Repeat
is
it.
Ocean's poem."
This is the Open's poem.
And everything above that in that paragraph is kind of the almost it's like it builds context for the rest of the poem. Because it really takes you to that place, like you yourself are on the ship,
Yeah.
feeling and smelling and seeing exactly what he is experiencing.
Wow, that is a wonderful description, right?
Mhm.
That's basically sailing through the ocean, right? So
yeah.
it is. Especially the perfume, the fender creak in the cottage, melancholy rhyme, bounded with star. Yeah, that is beautiful. Yeah.
I
Now,
wonder
go ahead.
if his distinction between the sea or the ocean and the land is the land being resemblant of something that of himself almost, something that he keeps within himself.
I think I misunderstood the poem a little bit. He didn't park in the harbor. He was basically on the sail.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so,
he was actively
Yeah.
sailing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I have almost the notion that his mention of the land. So especially this phrase here when it says, "Then falter not, O book, fulfill your destiny. You're not a reminiscence of the land alone." So I think that almost refers to his own reflections, meanings, and thoughts that
that's very
are
beautiful.
within his poems
Yeah, that's
are not for himself.
his own life.
alone.
Yeah.
It's going into the ocean of man.
Yes.
almost. Isn't that interesting? That's even a biblical metaphor.
I know.
The ocean of man.
Yeah.
I think that's actually may have been his.
Yes.
He had a similar technique there
Yes.
with
Yes.
what the ocean represented.
Yes.
That's
beautiful. This is a powerful poem, actually. So,
Yeah.
We're a powerful poem.
Because another place up here he says, "Bear forth to them folded my love, dear mariners, for you I folded here in every leaf." We know that this book is titled Leaves of Grass.
Oh,
Leaves
yeah.
being his poems. I think he refers to his poems as leaves. I could be
Oh,
wrong,
yes.
So, once again, I think he's talking about his, like you said earlier, his poems, his collections of his own reminiscence. That I think he makes it very clear here that it's not that there's a very specific purpose that he has for them being sent out to be to be examined publicly, like as we are now able to see them.
Yeah.
And as you can see here, in the beautiful way that he explained this through his poem, I think he takes his poems very, very seriously.
Very seriously.
It's not something he writes just to look beautiful.
Yeah.
He has some very clear purpose.
I respect the art. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Well, you want to read on?
That's up to you.
I mean, it's up to you. So we can think about the time for sure, but it's finished a couple. Okay, so
Sure.
next couple. So for you, to foreign lands. Go ahead.
To foreign lands. I heard that you asked for something to prove this puzzle, the new world, and to define America, her athletic democracy. Therefore I send you my poems that you may behold in them what you wanted.
That's very noble, right?
Yeah, this is, I guess, an introduction to...
Oh, that's the introduction to something?
Yeah, it's just going to be... He writes a lot of poems concerning America and her democracy.
Oh.
It's a huge section of this book, actually.
Oh. I see an independent poem here. Is that yours? Is it what? This whole section?
Well, these poems, I think, are strategically placed in the beginning because a lot of these poems are talking about his book.
That's good. I like what's your introduction there because it's talking about he has the sections basically.
Yeah,
he has
so
theme,
I think one of the first sections are going to be actually about his reflections and musings almost of the human figure and soul.
Oh.
So in that sense, it's called
Modern Man. That one.
This is what he calls it. Give me just one sec. He calls it interesting name. It's Children of Adam.
Oh, children of Adam.
The first one
Yeah.
that we're going over in this book is, like we mentioned earlier, inscriptions.
Ah,
So I think that refers, actually, a lot of these poems I think are going to be introductory poems to the mind of the author, Walt Whitman,
oh, okay.
and his own perspective. And then he's
That's
gonna go-
wonderful. Yes, wonderful. We need to read some essays on this, so maybe
Yeah.
offer more, rather than speculative understanding, more
Exactly,
solid
yeah.
understanding. Yeah. So
Mhm.
yeah. So now, what do you think about this one?
To foreign lands.
Yeah, that means to European minds, maybe almost time. Huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This puzzle, the new world as European
Mm-hmm.
languages to define America, her athletic democracy. So that's
Yep.
interesting. Huh?
He's going to go
Yeah.
over the ideals of the American ideals and
Okay.
particularly the democracy.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Next one then. Yeah. I mean, you finished your thoughts on
Yeah.
that one? Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
I
Good.
don't have too many thoughts on
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
To a historian, you who celebrate bygones, who have explored the outward,
That's crazy.
The
Celebrate
surfaces.
icon.
Yeah.
That's a very beautiful statement there.
I know.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You who celebrate bygones, who have explored the outward, the surfaces of the races, the life that has exhibited itself,
There you go.
who have treated of man as the creatures of politics,
There you
aggregates,
go. Is that amazing?
rulers, and priests.
That's a beautiful insight there. Yeah. Go
This
ahead.
upcoming word I don't even know. I, habitant of the Alleghanies, treating of him. Yeah, I'm gonna look that up too.
Alleghenies is a land.
Must be his
It's mountain range. Allegheny mountain
Eastern
range.
United States. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's just referring to his origin.
Let me read this.
Yeah.
The Allegheny mountain range, informally the Alleghenies, and also spelled Allegheny, Allegheny, is a part of the once Appalachian mountain range for the eastern United States and Canada, opposed the significant barrier to land travel in less technologically advanced areas. The barrier range has a northeast-southwest orientation, runs for about 400 miles from north-central Pennsylvania through western Maryland and eastern West Virginia to southwestern Virginia. So that's a short version. Go ahead.
I, habitant of the Alleghanies, treating of him as he is in himself, in his own rights, pressing the pulse of the life that has seldom exhibited itself, the great pride of man in himself, chanter of personality, outlining what is yet to be, I project the history of the future.
So he said he's pick out a better career than as a habitant of this place, a better perspective, a better embodiment, a better thinker, whatever, than historian, right? So yeah, yeah,
It's interesting.
yeah. That's a very naughty thing. However, so
That's really what, sorry?
naughty, So
Oh.
like somebody. That's very naughty, however. So yeah. No comment.
He has a really excellent description of the historical study in the first half here.
Yeah, I like the insight.
Yeah.
But think about the method he used. It's always contrast, right? So yeah, I like his really using contrast. So,
Yeah.
Projecting one idea, he said, "Oh, I have a better idea. That's better way of thinking
Yeah,
about it."
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what makes his poem very
Yeah.
interesting.
It's a novel way of considering things. So, go ahead. Talk about the history. His history going inside. I'm sorry.
I think a really, really interesting phrase here is when he says, pressing the pulse of the life that has seldom exhibited itself, and he gives context, or more expounds on that by saying, the great pride of man in himself.
That's a humanism, actually. Thinking about it. That's a product in alignment. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But what do you think about this one? Talking about the one celebrated by God's judges, who had treated the man as a. Is that amazing?
As a creature of politics and aggregates, rulers and priests. Exactly, that's pretty accurate, huh?
Yeah,
actually.
That's literally what history is about.
Yeah.
Most of the time, as you try to be the arbiter of a human lessons, so tell us the rules and laws that govern human history. Can you believe that?
I think what he does here is after mentioning that, after he says rulers and priests, he says, I, habitant of the Alleghenies, treating of him, he's referring to man.
Yes.
In contrast, like you said, in contrast to how
looking at the human history is one totally different angle.
As he is in himself,
yes.
in his own rights.
Yes.
And it's interesting, that phrase I mentioned earlier, saying pressing the pulse of the life that is seldom exhibited. So that's maybe an underlying focus that he has in the character and nature of man through his poems.
There's some very beautiful, beautiful words, phrases. For example, celebrate bygones. For example, explore the outward. Very much so. But the last one, I project, the history of the future. History is always about the past. You said history of the future. That's very beautiful. Huh? Yeah. Well, last one, I guess. Then we ramp it up. So.
All right.
What is this one?
To thee, old cause. To thee, old cause, thou peerless, passionate, good cause, thou stern, remorseless, sweet idea, deathless throughout the ages, races, lands, after a strange, sad war, great war for thee. I think all war through time was really fought, and ever will be really fought for thee. These chants for thee, the eternal march of thee. A war of soldiers, not for itself alone. Far, far more stood silently waiting behind, now to advance in this book. Thou orb of many orbs, thou seething principle, thou well-kept, latent germ, thou center. Around the idea of thee, the war revolving, with all its angry, vehement play of causes, with vast results to come for thrice 1,000 years. These recitatives for thee, my book and the war are one, merged in its spirit, I and mine, as the contest hinged on thee, as a wheel on its axis turns, this book unwitting to itself, around the idea of thee.
So
I'll look up some definitions of words here.
Let me read. To thee, O cause, the peerless passion and good cause, that stern, remorseless, sweet idea, deathless throughout the ages, races, lands, after a strange sad war, great war for thee. I think our war through time was really fought, there will be really fought for thee. The chance for thee, the internal march of thee. A war of soldiers not for itself alone, far, far more stood silently waiting behind. Now, to the ones in this book, the orb, many orbs, the seizing principles, the well-kept Latin germ, thou center, around the idea of thee, the war revolving with all its angry and vehement playful causes, with one's result to come for thrice 1,000 years. This recitatives for thee, my book and the war are one, merged into spirit, I and mine. As a contest hangs on thee, as a wheel its axis turns, this book unwitting to the self, around the idea of they. Wow, that's a beautiful poem. So, now comment.
Guess it would be good to figure out exactly what V is.
Yeah, what
What
the
the
whole
cause
cause
is.
is about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. What do you think? You didn't explicitly state it, but what are you thinking about it? Mind through the poems will reflect. But what do you think he's talking about? If you have to say the fulfillment, the happiness of a man, am I in
Yeah, I
general?
was gonna say
yeah,
humanism.
yeah.
That's what I was thinking as I was reading it.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Further comment.
Trying to like almost compare.
We can comment a poem on its theme or the content, so it's then comment on its artistic or its
Style.
Yeah, style exactly, or certain ways of expressing ideas, so I mean, just thinking about if
Yeah.
you're going to comment on some poems, you follow certain patterns. So yeah, you don't have to do all. I'm just talking about give you a clarification. What are you thinking about? So yeah. Go ahead.
I wonder what is exactly meant by his phrase, "Thou orb of many orbs." That particular description is somewhat confusing to me.
It's maybe to do with occult or magic things. It has to do with the date of their thinking. Orb is basically a center mystery, okay, a governing principle. So orbs, some of the cycle or circle things.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Because a little bit after that, he does say around the idea of the orb revolving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So. I don't know. Inaccurate thinking. Okay, I'm thinking that. I suspect that's what it is. So yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. You know the word recitatives, what it means? This recitative for the recitatives is a musical thing actually.
Yeah.
So
This is a musical declamation of the kind usual in narrative and dialogue parts, opera and oratorio.
Okay. So comment. Serious comment now. No pressure. If you can be silent with your comment,
Yeah.
nothing to say. It's okay.
Just try to collect my thoughts and
Yeah.
see it to make sense.
Yeah, no pressure.
What did I say?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I do like this poem very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like all his poems, but this one is very interesting. One of the things outstanding to me with the poem is full of passion,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Not like whimsy poems or melancholy poems, so there's
Right.
no vitality for life, no passion, so
Yeah, it's very interesting.
there's a raw passion behind it. It's already
Yeah.
represent American spirit and time, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I think that it really is bringing up or to thee, or that whatever this old cause is, I really do. It really does seem like it's referring to humanism, or in some sense an incentive that is behind the ingrained nature of man.
Yeah, it's like human ideal,
Yeah.
of things being right or proper or perfect. It's interesting. God itself mentioned here. I'm not sure he's a believer or not, but it's using those words, however, almost like spiritual, So,
Yeah.
but he's definitely is a man of humanistic thinking. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. So for thee, it's comparatively to the English tradition. English tradition, however, was greatly impacted by Greek thoughts. So, in a sense, there is a philosophical quest here. Is idealistic what a human life, human ideal man, what it is, So,
Right.
An ideal condition of man, if you have to say, the order of man, in a sense.
Right.
I'm just projecting my own thoughts on this.
Yeah.
It might not be accurate for him. So. But that's the sort of the age, So it's not usually just one person. So the positive and idealistic way of thinking for human being itself is a great contention point between the two presidents. That is John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. Can you believe that? So, Thomas Jefferson's believe in the way that man able to be better himself. He's a good agent for society, basically. So, yet he's a schemer. So he used every it was like a French Revolution. The revolution, they don't use necessarily good ways to do the revolution. So scheming all the time, So play tricks.
Yeah.
So it make Washington so angry with him. So not like a lot of decency, So decency in how you can play indecent political games of it's like in order to get your aim, regardless of whatever the way to approach it, So whatever method you utilized. And how you trust the human nature then. It's interesting how these people from that school of thought is a group of people in French, in Europe actually. It's idolize the ideal man, believe that anything, liberate that thing, establish that thing is worth to fight for. It's interesting. We talked about this earlier, So the idealization of a good thinking, it can be itself is subversively used or justified, actually undermines our idea itself. Making sense is yeah. For example, you may be so keen to keep justice. The way you're doing justice is totally against the spirit of justice, right?
Yeah.
So, making sense to you? Go ahead.
Exactly.
Expound that idea to me. And this is the things that troubled and liberated human thoughts actually in this author is thought and thinking. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Expound the idea why the passion is seeking justice can do injustice to be the reason injustice being done. So the thinking about it. Remember the story called Lazarus Miserabus, So
Oh yeah.
there was a man, who's very adamant to do justice, So
Yeah.
he's a persecuted, a repentant man, So,
Yeah.
so just thinking. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't want to pressure you on anything.
No, it's all right.
Worst partner, right?
Yeah.
So,
I think such people ultimately don't have a true knowledge of what justice is, because in their sense it's making sure oneself and especially everyone around them adheres to a particular standard, but then they almost lose sight of exactly what that standard is, and it becomes their own standard. Like their own interpretation of that standard, which ends up being
wow.
Totally different.
Oh, Noah, you cannot put it better. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to think about
That's
it.
describe the word called the legalistic mind,
Mm.
Pharisaic spirit.
Yeah.
Translate that in every idea of mankind, especially the Bible and
Yeah.
religious ideas.
Yeah.
When man is not liberating his mind, he's inner pursuits. It's not a whole.
Mm-hmm.
You can only take out pieces and shadows or projection things, the lost essence things.
Right.
On the other hand, now, Moses says we don't become these things. On the other hand, then how to maintain justice, how to do justice then? That's the point. Is the law really works? Or have to do with the spirit of law, the
Yeah.
spirit of law. And that's very interesting. The spirit of the law is not the law. So what do? How you reconcile? Who maintain the standard of balance? Who is the execution of justice then? By the law abiding, or the one who educates the spirit of law? That's interesting, huh? Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, when you be an educator of the spirit of the law, mercy and compassion, forgiveness is naturally implied. But in law, seldom you see mercy and forgiveness, right? So law is about the many other consequences of your sin or
Right.
or iniquity, whatever, it's a violation of law. Interesting enough, right? So now that is a great dilemma through human history. So when we're talking about the shepherd, kingly wisdom, has two sides to it. Therefore, the Bible in Romans we study is that God is God of great justice, right? So God has great mercy and severity. Severity means he's serious with he's a man with justice as well. So then he said, well, he's a God of compassion and mercy as well. So how you balance this? Who is able to do this? If it's given to human mind, evidently not going to work. Had to do with what? The ones who entrusted, enlightened. That is something interesting to think about, right? So I'm going to pray, before we wrap it up. So
Amen.
I'm going to stop here.